Welcome to action from the Rotax Max Challenge Karting Championship at Calso Scribanti. It's round 2 of the South African Championship, and conditions have changed dramatically overnight. Let's find out from Leroy Polter what we need to do.
Yeah, we've all learned a lot with the sunshine, with the cars and setup, but today different, and looks like it's going to be like this the whole day. So completely different day, and a lot of learning for us and for the driver to set up the kart and to drive in the wet.
What changes from a driver's perspective and setup's perspective? What do you change on a kart?
Well, a big thing for the driver is to normally stay off the rubber, because the rubber on the circuit is very slippery when it's wet. To drive it, you've got to obviously change brake biases, things like that. And then obviously for a mechanic is to add a lot of grip onto the kart to try and stop it from sliding. And obviously to do the best that we can, in terms of tire pressures, to accommodate the wet weather of the wheels.
Qualifying very, very easy in dry conditions, but with the conditions changing today, it's going to be very hard for our pole man, Spunk Shinyawana, to take on Ryan Kareem and Troy van der Laan. Caleb Moss, a big surprise there in 4th place, with Miles Krauser there in 5th, just ahead of Lewin Mostert.
It seems to me you're carrying on from where things were in Cape Town a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Talk to me about qualifying.
Qualifying is nice and it's good, but I came in first. That's good too, but I might be starting first tomorrow. And I think I might win, but I hope I have some fun.
Who are the guys that you must look out for tomorrow?
Tomorrow, watch out for Troy and Ryan.
The circuit here, do you like it? Because this must have been your first time at your race here.
No, it's my second.
Okay, so do you like the circuit?
Yes.
What do you like about it?
Everything.
Is it nice and smooth and nice? It's very difficult on the tires.
No,
So what's your plan for tomorrow?
I win it.
Great. You're starting tomorrow on the front row. Talk to me about how qualifying went.
It was tough, but I'm going to try and win tomorrow.
So talk to me about the circuit. Do you like the circuit?
Yes.
What do you like about it?
The flag is black.
And tomorrow, what's your plan? Who are you going to try and beat?
Sepang and Kaiser.
And how are you going to do that?
Being this season.
And tell me, is it the first time you race on the circuit?
So a new format here for the Bambinos. Michael Stephen, the pace kart, going to set these youngsters off, and they're all lining up, ready to go. Oh, little problem there. A couple of guys coming together, but I'm sure they'll get sorted out before we get underway. Telling them to all slow down and get back into position, but it's a slightly different format to what they're used to here in Bambino. But nice to see this new format being given here. Joining me in commentary booth this time will be Prince Indaweni, number 24 is in the house. And Prince, I think this is going to be a great day's racing, particularly with the tricky conditions.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, just with the pace kart already, you're seeing a bit of trouble. Some of the young drivers, they're struggling with the slippery stuff on the track. But hopefully people get their feet and get some grip. We'll see how quickly the young ones can adjust to such tricky conditions. I know Tsepang Sisimwana is definitely one to look out for in these tricky conditions.
Sitting in 2nd place as he started there, so he didn't quite get the start he wanted. He's got a bit of pressure coming from behind from Miles Krauser and from Caleb Moss. But it looks like the man on the move there, Ryan Kareem, just using everything right, and good start there from the youngster. You can see he was a little bit difficult in terms of the interview, but he's not making it difficult on the track. He's showing he's got what it takes here to possibly take a win.
Exactly, very steady steering input as well. Everyone's being very careful and very disciplined. It's very sensitive at this point. I mean, all your driver skill is brought to the fore here. One little mistake, one little slip up, and it can cost you a lot in the race.
What we've seen so far this morning, as you can see from conditions, is it's basically been raining and stopping. It's that normal Port Elizabeth friendly drizzle that comes in, and it makes it very difficult to try and get karts set up, particularly when you had completely perfect conditions yesterday for qualifying.
Yeah, precisely. It's quite a mental switch up as well. Kids have to adjust very quickly. But they seem to be doing well. I mean, everyone's keeping their racing lines clean. Everyone's meeting their apexes, keeping it as wide as possible as well. It's a lot more grip found on the wider side of the track than you do find on the inside.
Wide lines coming out of the 88 there from Caleb Moss, using those lines you've just been talking about. We heard from Leroy Polter that you don't need to get onto the the rubber, because if you get onto the rubber, it becomes very slippery. So you can see trying to avoid the outside lines, and a little bit of running wide there from Kart 4, who was in 4th place. They just made a slight mistake. I think it might have been Miles Krauser. He's pushing hard though, trying to close down there on Caleb, and you can see the gap is closing down. All of a sudden, Kareem is under a little bit more pressure coming out of the pole man there, Chipang Shinchawana and Moss.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3.
Coming into the section now, you can see Moss is definitely the sort of more aggressive of the three. He's definitely looking for a way through here, but soaking the pressure up, no pun intended there at the front end, is Kareem, and he looks like he might just be able to keep the rest of these guys at bay.
Yeah, Kareem has Moss and Chisinwana to sort of watch out for, because they can see his every move and tails every mistake, with Chisinwana diving right on the inside of. Ooh, that is very impressive, especially in the way he kept his composure there. Chisinwana taking the lead. That was a very clean overtake.
Moss comes along to the right, tries to squeeze through as well, didn't quite get there.
Yeah, it did.
And you can see 45, Troy van der Laan. I haven't really mentioned him. He's the man who was actually the most aggressive there, coming from the back. He ran ever so slightly wide onto that little bit of rubber on the outside. Cost him a little bit of time, but he's made up that ground again, and now goes on the attack onto the back end of Moss.
Ryan Karen recovering well, seems to be back in Chisinwana's toe. We'll see if he can find a chance to dive in the inside, but Chisinwana riding very clean. Moss has a lot of defending to do. A bit of action coming on the back of him there. I hope he's got an eye over his shoulder. But clean so far, no dirty racing. Everyone's keeping very disciplined, which is impressive. 5
karts at the front end here getting away. That 5th kart now coming into play is the man we mentioned earlier on, Miles Krauser. And Miles Krauser now putting the pressure onto the 45. 45, Troy van der Laan going defensive, has to go defensive because there was an attack coming from Krauser. Big attack there from Moss, and it looks like Kareem wants back to the front. He's now closed that gap down again. It opened up a little bit wider than what it was right now, and you can see Ray and Kareem just slowly but surely closing in, and Tsepang is in big trouble.
Definitely, I bet Tsepang can actually hear an engine behind him buzzing very close to him. He's probably going to go a bit defensive at this point. He knows there's someone right behind him coming.
And that person right behind is actually 2. Because if there's one mistake there from Kareem, Moss is going to capitalize on that mistake as well and make these guys pay big thumb. And I can see the way that Caleb Moss is coming into play. There you go, side by side.
Side by side.
On the wrong side of the left-hander though, so it's going to have to be the wide line through there. Maybe the cutback coming to the next corner. No, can't quite get there yet. But great driving from those 2 drivers, and lots of respect because they're given enough room to play. Speaking of play, coming along for the play is the 45 of Van der Laan. He also looks like he wants to get into the mix here.
Yeah, and if anything goes wrong with Moss, Van der Laan's definitely going to capitalize. Looks like he's going to have to be very defensive, watching out for both driver ahead of them there, Ryan Karim, as well as Moss right behind him. So it's going to be tricky for Caleb Moss.
Moss is working hard, it's for sure. He's looking for a chance to get through on Kareem, and Kareem at this stage just managing to keep him out. Oh, no mistake, Van der Laan swings out. Just pushing too hard. Great evasive driving coming out of Miles Krauser though. Avoided the spinning kart that went literally right in front of him. So superb reaction skills there. Speaking of reactions, here comes a reaction to the front end. Change up for the lead. Easily done. Almost identical to the way he lost the lead. He took it back again.
Precisely. And respect there to Chisinwana. Tsepang just sort of stepping aside, knowing the driver's coming, anticipating the dive. I think a bit of tactics there, don't you think, Greg?
Yeah, it could be. Maybe he's tired of running at the front and having to defend. Maybe now he wants to just give the other driver a chance to run at the front and put the pressure onto him. It's not a bad option. It's not a bad way of doing things, that's for sure. But the problem he's got right now is he's now got Moss all over the back of him. So he really hasn't lost the pressure that was on his tail.
Yeah, Moss hot on his heel. Also almost diving on the inside there, but it was a bit too far. Chisinwana keeping composure there. We'll see if he can manage to get his position back in time for the checkered flag going down.
You see they're pushing hard here, these 3 to get away, and they've opened up a bit of a margin now over Miles Krauser. But Krauser definitely on a move. He's starting to make his way up to these top 3, and slowly but surely could potentially end up in that top 3 if he keeps up the kind of pace he's getting. He's just set one of the fastest laps we've seen all race long. It isn't in the 15s just yet, but a 16.6 is a really good lap time around the circuit for these little guys.
Yeah, the front 3 are sort of half dicing, half committing to overtaking moves. They're going to slow each other down and give Krauser a chance to actually catch up to them. As you can see, he's actually closed the gap significantly.
Remember, this is Moss's home circuit, so he's going to have a little advantage over the rest of these guys, although you wouldn't really say that because the Natal boy at the front end is definitely showing he's got what it takes, and also showing that down in Natal they've had a lot of wet weather, and at Adubi I've probably spent a couple of times in the wet, which is giving him a small advantage here in these tricky conditions.
Yeah, exactly. It can be a home circuit, but as soon as it becomes wet, it can be a foreign circuit. Experience counts for everything when you're used to driving in the wet.
And they come, and it looks like there's a bit of an attack coming out from Moss. He lost a bit of ground there in that last lap, and he's got to make it up again. You can see just how hard he's pushing to close in on Tsepang and on Ryan. And Ryan is looking really good at the front. He's just controlling things now. He's really not under the same amount of pressure he was earlier on. And I think by giving himself a bit of a breather and allowing Tsepang to the front, it's given him that little bit of a breathing space and some time to recover. But they've got to be careful, because all of a sudden there is a big maneuver coming through there from the 38 special, and I think Miles Krauser could be a thorn in the side for these three carts.
Yeah, for a moment they had a very good tour on the front two, the closer of the front three, with the Ryan Karim there.
It looks like Miles Krauser just setting one of his fastest laps. In fact, his personal best there at 15.6, 1 minute 15.6 to close that gap down. Now we're seeing the change up at the front again. Oh, lovely stuff.
Very smooth, very smooth.
Back marker's going to start coming into play now as well. So the slightly slower carts at the back, 44 being one of them. That's Isabel Ferreira. She just stays completely out of the way. Good stuff from the young lady. Also learning her craft in karting, getting better and better every single time she gets behind the wheel of one of these Bambinos. Oh, there's a problem on the sideline. 75 spinning out there, unfortunately, and that is Caleb Udendal. And it looks like they're battling to get that kart restarted. Maybe a little bit of wetness in the engine. Oh, look at the trouble now. We've got back markers coming into play here, and the two leaders are coming right into these back markers, using the back markers to his advantage. Ryan Karim gets through, and puts a back marker between himself and second place now, Tsepang Shinsawana. So Shinsawana is going to have to get past the 47 kart there, and it looks like Arabella Krauser is just making his life a little bit more difficult than what he'd like right now.
Yeah, so Sunana has to tiptoe on the rail and around back markers. That cannot be easy, but it looks like he's managed to do it. There he is, back in position. Let's see if we can get him back into shot here. That's him. Back in second again, right behind Ryan Krause. Sorry, my mistake, Ryan there. Back in his toes.
Yeah, the two of them fighting hard, there's no doubt about it. But you can see all of a sudden now, the rest of that pack have also closed in. Miles Krause has got to third place, and he's got a hard charge coming out of Caleb Moss. So it's not done just yet. And here we go, change up for the lead again, possibly. Side by side between Karim and Shinsawana just hanging on this time and squeeze him out. Now this is exactly what he did down in Cape Town at round number 1. He sat literally for the last lap and waited until the very closing stages before he made his move. That's not happening today. Karim is matching him. He's coming back at him all the time and not giving him that opportunity.
Yeah, I can see Tsepang wrestling his kart there, sort of yanking it around the corners, getting as much grip as he can around the Kelso Scribante track.
Two of them fighting hard now. It has slowed each other down ever so slightly. So as they come now into the closing stages of this Heat 1 of Bambinos, you can see that they are not done just yet. And all of a sudden, into the mix comes Miles Krauser. Krauser goes wide. So does Tsepang. Tsepang trying to go around the outside. Not going to make that one so good. Watch for the cutback as they come into the tight right-hander now. But I think Karim saw them coming, and he just slammed the door shut. He's not going to allow any of these two through right now. He wants to take this victory.
Yeah, Krauser maximizing and getting the opportunity from seeing out Tsepang and Ryan Karim there. Sort of losing a lot of pace because they keep dicing back and forth. Staying in third position there, he might be in a sweet spot to actually steal another position in the podium.
Possibly steal the win as well. Look at that. They both go wide coming out of that turn and now down into the bottom section. Round the outside, that is a brave move. Don't want to run too wide there, because if you get onto those little rumble strips or onto that rubber, it's going to be very slippery in these conditions. You can actually see that the grip has come to the forefront here a little bit in these closing stages. The rain has stayed away, so there's a little bit more grip out there. Maybe a small dry line starting to form. Look at this fight though. Western Province out front, Gauteng in second, and it's the Eastern Province, Eastern Cape boy coming through there in third place, with the hometown hero in fourth place. And don't take Caleb Moss out of the picture just yet. He's not too far off the front end of this field. I wonder if he's taking a bit of strain there with the arms. No, chicken flag out, that's why. Saluting to the crowd. I thought he might be having a little bit of an arm pump, but he salutes the crowd and takes the first victory there. Yeah, there we go. So confirmation of the results. Ryan Karim taking the win there ahead of Tsepang Shinsawana. Miles Krauser comes through for third place with Caleb Moss in fourth, beating Lewin Mostert to the line. And then Troy van der Laan, our early spinner, up into sixth place after recovering. Hayden Green, Moore, Wadey, Beaumont, Moore and Verheul, your top 12. Straight into race number 2 now, behind that safety cart and the pace cart now with Michael Stephen behind the wheel. Let's see whether or not we're going to see a change up at the front end in terms of the front runners. We do have 77 thrown into the mix there. Keegan Beaumont, he's a little bit higher up than what he was earlier on. Could potentially be one of the threats at the front end, if he can run with the pace of those top 3 that we've literally seen. There goes Michael, he gets away. Flag comes out and we are racing, and it's a fantastic start out of Caleb Moss. Now, clear visor in these conditions is not a bad plan. You can see a lot of the guys running tinted visors or iridium visors. Makes it very difficult to see, particularly when it is this misty, and when the rain starts to come down and we're going to spray off the back wheels, may make it a bit difficult for the drivers to see. You can see a couple of guys have actually changed up their visors. Most notably, Shin Suzwana. Shin Suzwana has taken that iridium Ara visor off and put on the clear visor. So it's definitely the right choice of visors on that helmet. What do you think, Prince?
Definitely the right choice. It looked like the clear visor worked for Caleb Moss in race 1. He got the quickest lap. He's probably going to display more of that pace in race 2. We'll see how the other drivers are able to sort of give him a challenge and give him a bit of trouble. But the rain hasn't really made things easier for them, Greg. It still looks as slippery. We're still seeing the same spray out of the tires. It's going to get trickier and trickier as the race progresses.
It's kind of fallen and gone away all day long. And I think just before this heat, a little bit of rainstorm and a little bit of drizzle. So there is wet conditions right now. Shin Suzwana is taking a bit of strain in those wet conditions, trying to find a way through there on Keegan Beaumont. And a little bit further up there, race 1 winner, Ryan Kareem, going with the smoked visor as opposed to the dark visor this time as well, all over the back of that 45 cart. And Troy van der Laan, the spinner in race number 1, definitely wants to make up lost ground and get a little bit higher up. Currently in 3rd place, tucked in behind the 38 special there of Miles Krauser.
Miles Krauser has a lot of defending to do there on van der Laan. I hope he can sort of keep on his toes and be careful for the dive down the inside. Nothing threatening yet coming from van der Laan though.
Big threat coming from Mostert. Lewin Mostert dives on the inside of Keegan Beaumont, gets up his inside and makes it stick relatively easily. So very nicely done there from Lewin Mostert. And of course, he's also from Cape Town. Didn't have quite the outing he wanted at his home track at the first round, but certainly looking to make up ground here in a big way as he closes in on race winner from heat number 1, Ryan Kareem, and Tsipang Shin Suzwana. Those two are under big threat there from Mostert as he goes left and right, trying to find a way through.
Just got a shot there of Miles Krauser with full intent to catch up to Caleb Moss.
Look at the body language.
Exactly.
Tucked in behind the wheel, head down, everything she's got. There's a move on the inside. Shin Suzwana, runs him onto the inside curve. So there was a big move there attempted by Kareem. Couldn't quite make it stick. Mostert followed him through, hoping that something went wrong. It didn't quite go wrong just yet. But certainly a chance of note there. And just that little clip of the curb just affected the drive of the cart, so he didn't quite make it stick. Let's see for another chance here coming into this lap.
And lucky for Kareem, the curb gives him a lot more grip in wet conditions, so it might have affected his overall balance, but he never lost a lot of grip because it's a lot drier than the actual track.
Yeah, he did lose a position there to Mostert. That cost him. That's a man you don't want to be losing positions to. Now he's going to try and run with Luan, and behind them Keegan Beaumont going to do the same thing. 3 of them trying to work together to close that gap down that they just lost on that little overtake attempt. And that's the gap that is. You can see the white helmet, that white arrow helmet there of Shin Suzwana. And Shin Suzwana at this stage just sitting comfortably in 4th place. He's also battling just to bridge that gap. And not having anybody to work with is making it a bit more difficult. You can see these 3 carts working together, then a lone carter, and then another 3 carts, and possibly even 4 as the 43 of Jordan Wadley comes into play as well.
Yeah, Lewin Mostert leading a nice slipstream there with Ryan Kareem right behind him. Kareem has a lot to worry about. Keegan Beaumont is very threatening right on his rear bumper there.
I think they've changed something up there on Kareem's cart. It's not working as well as what it was in the first heat. There's no doubt about it. There's a move. Nearly sticks on the inside coming out of our race 1 spinner, Troy van der Laan. He gets it right this time. But now it's the battle of the 8s. 88 and 38 with 5 of 8 completed, 3 to go. And all of a sudden we're seeing a big maneuver here from the 38 special of Krauser on the back end of Moss. Moss, the hometown hero here, trying to soak up that pressure. Look, he's not even looking behind him. He's not even worried. He's picking the lines. He's looking straight ahead. He's not had one look over his shoulder just yet. He can hear the engine. There's no doubt about it. But look at the concentration on that youngster's eyes through that bell visor. Unbelievable to see, even at this age, they are concentrating so hard. Coming up on the back end, I think, of Arabella Krauser or Isabel Ferreira, one of the two, and that gap might come down even more now because just in the background, you've got Keegan Beaumont, who's slowly but surely making his way up and potentially up into 3rd place. Round the outside goes Moss on Arabella Krauser, and it looks like Miles is going to have to do the same thing to his sister. Yes, he's going to try and find a way through, but around the outside comes the 45 of Van der Laan. Oh, he's not being helped out here. Family feud, and yes. Oh, there's a big one there. I don't think Arabella saw any of those two. She gets back onto the circuit, but Van der Laan and Miles Krauser have been caught out there by a slight mistake from our young lady driver. She's just in the wrong place. She did everything right. She didn't move off the line. They tried to get past her. Watch. Van der Laan goes up the inside. Her brother gives her a tap from the back and then spins out and tags the spinning 45 cart. Yeah, big maneuver there between them. That's a pity. Look at the gap though. All of a sudden now, because of those two spinning out, there's the gap to second place, Lewin Mostert. And 17 is in third place. That's Ryan Kareem. He spins out. Oh, nobody wants third. Every time somebody gets into third place, they spin out.
Smacking his steering there in frustration. That must be so frustrating. He's been concentrating for so long. I mean, it's not been an easy race. He's been in the slipstream, following a lot of riders for a lot of the time and trying to make pace. But there he is again with Van der Laan, is it?
Yeah, Van der Laan side by side with him. 76 spinning out as well is Aiden Beaumont. That's a little mistake. I think it's getting wetter. I notice we're not picking up on the cameras, but I think there's a little bit of drizzle that's come. It's got a little bit wetter, so conditions have changed up slightly there. There's Lewin Mostert. He's up to second place. Here's Keegan Beaumont diving for third. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Oh, Shinzan has got no answer to Keegan Beaumont as he just gets up the inside there and gets the job done for third place. So potentially it could end up like this. I'm not quite sure. We'll wait and see. Shinzan is good down the straight. Watch him into turn one. They go through the kink now and into turn one. He may just make an overtaking maneuver.
Caleb Moss keeping the concentration, stretching his legs really. He's quite comfortable at this point. He's sort of doing the same thing that he's been doing all race long. And he can relax a bit more now with the gap that he knows he has. His team's probably showing him on the side of the track. Whoa, bit of a slip up there, lapse in concentration.
Maybe just showboating. It is the final lap. No, he wasn't. That was a big mistake that he made there. That could have been costly. But he comes across the line to take the first win here, and a great drive here on his home circuit. The win going to Caleb Moss. I think it's going to be Lewin Mostert who's going to hang on for second place there, the man from Cape Town. A super drive from the youngster and a good turnaround for his luck. It didn't quite go according to plan in race number one, but it's certainly a lot better in race two for a second place. With Beaumont in third, Shinzan hangs on for fourth place. Couldn't get through on Keegan. And Caleb Oudendal in fifth place. Krauser, Van der Laan, Ben Kareem, Josh Moore, Jack Moore, Green, and Roderick Simpson in 12th place. Straight into heat number 3 now. And at the front end, it's Van der Laan side by side with that 38 special. And I tell you what, with the 38 special, Miles Krauser at the front and the way he was fired up. In fact, those two carts on the front are the two protagonists that crashed into the back of Miles' sister. And I think we're going to be in for a bit of a run for the money between those two. They're going to be fired up. They're not going to be making mistakes this time out. They want to try and keep it clean and clear at the front. And Van der Laan is doing that exactly right as they get going now ahead of the rest of this pack of carts. And in fact, every single one of the protagonists from race 2 are back at the front again.
Yeah, one man to watch out for is Tebang, who's sort of got to clean up his act. He's sort of fallen away. He's not showing the same pace he had in race 1. A lot of the time he spent in the slipstream of one Caleb Moss, as well as Lewin Mostert in particular, who was much closer to him. So we'll see what he has to do for race 3.
Van der Laan leads out at this stage. Moss is into third place. You can see Van der Laan, a little mistake there from him. Yeah, that's a costly mistake there from Van der Laan, and new leader. Krauser hits the front. Miles Krauser hits the front and does it relatively unscathed and untroubled as well, with a little mistake coming out of Van der Laan. Van der Laan maybe just pushing a little bit too hard from the word go. I mean, there's not an easy thing to get heat into the rubber, but they will eventually get a little bit hotter with the friction caused between the surface. You can see it's not as wet as it was in heat number 2. And now the battle starts at the back as Beaumont and Mostert close in there on Shinzan.
Experience beginning to show that. You notice how they were much closer early on, but the gaps are getting much bigger because drivers, they know how to handle the cart around the corners a lot better and find the grip precisely where it is. So a lot of the experience coming in and showing there.
Down the back straight now, and you can see here comes the 45 of Van der Laan. Along with him comes Moss. Moss dives on the inside and squeezes into the twisties. Yeah, into the twisties. Kareem looks away and can't quite make it stick there on Moss. Moss is very good through here. He certainly is one of the class of the field when it comes to this section of the circuit, and that's exactly why all 4 carts behind him are following his line. Mostert goes on the inside, has a little look there, pulls out of that line, but didn't cost him too bad. In fact, he made up a little bit of ground there and brought Beaumont along onto the back end of Shinzan. Remember, these kids are only 6 to 9 years of age, so the youngest drivers being 6, the oldest drivers being 9 years of age, and showing this kind of prowess and this kind of racecraft is pretty good for that age.
Yeah, to say they have experience is a very relative term. Using experience in the karting context, definitely experience.
A couple of them have been around in the previous version, of course, the cadet version of this category, now Bambino class. But some of them are brand new, and that's why you're seeing when we get into the back markers, a little bit of inexperience coming in those back markers, not knowing exactly where to put the cart to stay out of trouble. when the steam train comes through at the front end.
As you will see a lot of the train scenario all the way through the grid. Kids are taught at a very young age to sort of follow and keep within the racing line of the guy in front of you, so you can sort of mark out his mistakes and stay as safe as possible.
Well, Leon Moster's looking for mistakes now out of Shinzawana. Shinzawana doing the same thing there. Tapang wants Ryan Kareem to make a mistake too. None of them have made any mistakes just yet. Let's see whether or not that's going to happen. Keegan Beaumont closes in as well. Tapang at this stage, looking at the age stats here, he's actually the oldest driver out there, so using the age and his experience, diving through and defending on the attack coming from Mostert. Mostert comes straight back at him again. Oh, I think he might have just been caught out there. Mostert set that up from about 2 corners back. He knew that Tapang would probably go on the defensive and he could cut back coming onto the main straight again to finish the lap. And he's made that move stick relatively easily and now goes on the attack to close down on Kareem. He's going to bring Tapang, Beaumont, just in the background there. All of a sudden, with the 7.5 of Udendal, Caleb Udendal has come to play as well.
Yeah, the sequel with Luan and Tapang's battle there has a bit more characters featuring this time. They're sort of losing pace though. I mean, a lot of the guys behind them are catching up to them thanks to a lot of the diving and back and forth that they're doing. Hopefully they can sort of strategize and open the gap and then battle a bit later on towards the race, which is what Tapang was actually doing early on, trailing, sort of following in second and then leaving the overtake for later on.
Looks like Miles Krauser has got his race face on. He's not allowing Van der Laan or Moss any room to play or any opportunity to overtake. They've gone left, they've gone right, they've even tried to go through him. It's not working at this stage. He just sees them coming, places his cart perfectly, and whoa, what a move there from Moss. Moss using some inside hometown knowledge and diving on the inside of that corner to get through, and Van der Laan buckles under the pressure. Big mistake there from Troy Van der Laan. It's going to cost him dearly. Look at that. He's going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions. He loses 5 positions in one spin, and that's why you have to be so smooth in karting. One little mistake like that can be that costly.
That's very smooth, very precise. You can see how accurate the kids are in moving the steering wheel. No sudden movements. Everything's very calculated around the turns.
Van der Laan trying to come back at Udendal. Remember, Udendal is the man that couldn't get his kart started in the first heat. He's managed to sort that burl out now and is back into the mix here. Oh, little spinner, 39 going out there. That is Christian Verheil. Just a little mistake there, and fortunately back on track, but also costly there, dropping out of what was the top 10, now into the top 15. Front end battle continues. Moss looking for a way through here. Can't quite find one just yet. With the loss of Troy Van der Laan, it's a two-way battle for the first and second places on the podium. And I think just in the background, is that Leon Mostert? Yes, Leon Mostert just hanging on and fending off the attack from 1, 2, 3, 4. Make that, okay, I was going to say 6 carts, but now 2 of them come together. One is Udendal, the other one was Van der Laan. Van der Laan is having a tough day in the saddle today.
Okay, for the lead.
Possible change up here with the lap. Oh no, Moss spins out. Oh, Moss just tossing it away all on his own there, unfortunately. Trying to dive through, didn't quite work out. Now, Leon Moster's going to try and capitalize. You can see that Caleb Moss has made a mistake there and wonder if he can maybe just squeeze through there. Cape Town versus PE. Here it comes for the last lap. Onto the final lap now, and the leaders disappeared. Miles Krauser doesn't have to worry about a thing. The battle is going to be for second place. Potentially 4 carts who can take it.
Caleb Moss made Miles Krauser's job very much easily because he put a lot of pressure on him for a good part of the race. Now he can sort of relax knowing the checkered flag is well within his reach.
I like the fact that we're seeing blue flags, although this is not a blue flag situation. This is a fight for podium. I think they're thinking that those are back markers coming into play, but they're not. Some back markers will, of course, come into play at any stage of these races. But it's not going to affect Moss right now as he concentrates to keep Mostert behind him. Leon Mostert has used Mostert just to bridge a little bit of a breathing room and a bit of a gap there between himself and Shinzawana, Beaumont and Kareem. And then it's Udendal just at the back end of that one with Van der Laan just recovering behind them.
And Beaumont loses
spinner.
it. Just as he had a good tour on Shinzawana, they just lose it completely.
That's a big maneuver, and Keegan Beaumont could lose out a couple of positions there. In fact, he's lost out, I think, 6 or 7 positions, dropping him just inside the top 10. So checkered flag will be on standby for our leader, but the second place battle is what we're watching right now, and Moss versus Mostert, who's going to have what it takes. 1 to go. 1 to go now as they come through. And look at how tight it is between these guys. Absolutely nothing for what is going to be 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place.
Yeah, they put hardly a foot wrong apart from the slippery part. They really kept it together this time around.
And look who's joined the party there as well. They haven't really mentioned him, but all of a sudden the 117 of Josh Moore is in that pack and is potentially going to spoil the day here for somebody.
capitalizing on some of the spinners. We've seen a lot of ballerinas today.
Well, here's the man who's going to be taking the checkered flag, and it's to the tune of about 4.5 seconds that he's pulled away, staying out of trouble, staying at the front, and dictating the pace, literally from the word go. Couple of back markers to contend with here. Let's see if he can find his way past the two ladies. It's Arabella and, of course, Isabel Ferreira that he's coming up on. He'll probably let them go. I don't think he's going to try and attempt to pass them. He knows he's got a comfortable margin. Let the girls go and finish their race and take the checkered flag for the third and final heat of the day. The flag is on standby. It comes out, and Miles Krauser takes the win in the third and final heat of the day. Caleb Moss has he been able to hang on for second place? Let's wait and see. As they come across the line now, Moss takes the second place ahead of Luan Mostert, just in the background there. And then it's Ryan Kareem who comes through for fourth place, beating Chapang Shinsawana for fifth. Troy van der Laan recovered after a couple of spins to sixth ahead of Caleb Odendaal, who had a touch there earlier on. Josh Moore in eighth, and Jordan Wadley beat out Keegan Beaumont, Roderick Simpson, and Jack Moore.